Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
The missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and that the mother has went through a wall, came home, now they can't find her.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Once I told a lie, and I told my family, I had to keep lying.
McSherman is a demon.
We haven't cleared anybody.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We are still following the Karen Read trial. A lot happened on Friday during the testimony, and it carried into today. So we're just going to recap some highlights, mostly involving Brian Higgins, who was the ATF agent that Karen was texting. He was also friends with John O'Keefe and texting Karen flirtatiously behind John's back. So it's all very troubling, interesting, all the above. Have you guys seen the text? Let me know if you guys have seen the text messages. And hello, everybody in chat. Johnny's here. Tony's here. Being Bio Girl. Sherry's here. Hello, Dustin. Good to see you. Yeah, let's unpack that is here. CJ. Hi, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Yeah, grab your tea because we got a lot of tea to spill and stuff to discuss. So get comfortable. Hit that like button if you haven't done so. And yeah, I just appreciate you guys all being here. I was gone for most. Hi, Eli. I was gone for last week. Hi, Valerie. Valerie, let me know if you're able to jump on. I know you're probably busy, but the offer and invite is always extended. Mayla's mom, how you doing? Thanks for being here, guys. So just so much to go through. Let's start with some clips that I've clipped together, kind of give a recap of everything thus far. And just kind of like background information. And then we're just going to hop around to court TV, the testimony today, cross-examination with Yannetti, and just a segment that court TV did that is pretty much highlighting like who is Brian Higgins and his testimonies from Friday into today. So let's get into it. Hi, Zoe. Good to see you. Is the audio okay before we get continuing? Just want to make sure. So mods, just let me know.
Reed and her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, were bar hopping on a snowy night in Massachusetts. At the end of the night, they were invited to a house party at the home of a fellow officer in Canton, Massachusetts. When Karen and John arrived, Karen did not exit the car. John did. Prosecutors say Karen was mad at John and purposely struck him with her car and left him on the ground to die in the snow. But Karen and her defense team say John went to the party. Something terrible happened inside the house, and his body was placed outside, where he was found dead the next morning. Karen has been charged with murder, but claims she is the victim of a big cover-up by police. Prosecutors insisting Karen Read is a murderer, while she insists it was someone inside the house that night who is responsible for what happened to her boyfriend, John O'Keefe.
So I pull at the foot of the driveway. It's snowing. John has no coat on. It's windy. So I drop him off. He goes up the driveway and approaches the side door. And as I see him approach the door, I look down at my phone.
Reed says after about 10 minutes of waiting in her car, she became irritated that O'Keefe still hadn't gotten in touch with her. And she drove back to his home, where she continued calling him before, she says, she fell asleep around 1:30 in the morning.
Details about John O'Keefe's body. He was wearing 2 shirts, jeans, and had one sneaker on. Approximately 6 inches of snow covering him. Again, it snowed overnight, so he had to be on the ground for a while. He's located on the left side of the yard, about 8 feet from the street. He's found lying on his back, bleeding from his face and nose, surrounded by drops of blood and shards of glass.
Commonwealth will instead try to persuade you that Karen Read supposedly had a motive to kill John O'Keefe because they were not getting along. You'll hear about their trip to Aruba over New Year's Eve and that Karen was upset that John had been flirting with another woman. And you will hear that Karen considered exploring her options after that trip, which led her to a get-together at one point with ATF federal agent Brian Higgins, although that never went anywhere.
All right. So those are some recaps. This is from opening statements when Brian Higgins is mentioned. Hello, Jay. Good to see you. So glad you're here. Okay, so let's skip to this, which will kind of break down a little bit more of who Brian Higgins is.
Who is the guy? Well, he's a federal agent, and he knows a lot of the key players involved in all of this. Let's put it on your screen. This is Brian Higgins, agent with the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, has an office inside the Canton Police Department because he knew the police chief, was at the Waterfall Bar that night, was at the Albert Home, 34 Fairview for the after party, went there the next day. 2 weeks before O'Keefe's death, says that Karen Read kissed him on the lips. Higgins and Read exchanged text messages expressing mutual liking. And Read invited Higgins to her home at least once. Well, in court today, Vinny, I can tell you this much because Court TV, as you know, is in that courtroom each and every day.
So he's referring to Friday when they kind of go through the text messages.
There is no love lost here. It was not a happy reunion if you look at both of their faces today in court.
It's got to be a little awkward, but let's get to those text messages that the jury got to see and hear between Karen Read, the defendant, and one of the prosecution's witnesses here, Brian Higgins.
All right, so who has seen the text messages? Should we go through them? I'm going to switch up my screen again.
My question again, Mr. Higgins, you seem to not want to answer my.
Okay, so this is Friday when Brian Higgins is under cross-examination by the defense. Jackson is questioning him on Friday, and then Yannetti questions him today. We'll get to Yannetti's as well today. These were just some clips that I put together of some highlights that I think were kind of important to kind of relook at. And yeah, we can go through the texts after these clips. Okay, guys?
My question is, were you or were you not sexually attracted to my client?
Yes.
Okay. You were saying things like, what do you want from me? And I want the real deal. Those are your words, correct?
Yes.
And the real deal with you would be to date her, to get involved with her, romantically, correct?
No.
The real deal was what? What did you mean by I want the real deal?
Like a relationship.
What kind of relationship? A buddy-buddy relationship? You just want to go like...
The same thing everybody wants, a real relationship.
Like a romantic relationship, Mr. Higgins?
It's possible.
The mood at the waterfall was good spirits, correct?
It was great. Band was playing.
You did not see any sort of tension between John and Karen?
I did not.
Nobody seemed overly intoxicated?
No.
I mean, you had several drinks before you even got to the waterfall, right?
I think it was 3 to 4.
Did you drink additionally at the waterfall?
I did, yes.
Did you drink whiskey or beer or what?
Whiskey.
Okay. How many do you think you had?
I couldn't put a number on it. At least a couple.
And ultimately you left from there in your personal vehicle and drove over to, that's the Jeep, over to the waterfall, correct?
I drove over to the waterfall?
I'm sorry.
I was at the waterfall.
Left the waterfall, drove over to 34 Fairview.
I did, yes.
When John walked in to the waterfall, were you already there?
Yes.
He greeted you, you indicated, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Karen walked in with him?
Yes.
But she did not greet you, did she?
I think they kind of went like that in different directions.
Right.
Yes.
Did she greet you?
No.
Right. So she walked over toward the corner of the bar, And John came over and greeted you and then walked over and joined her, correct?
Yes.
Karen didn't stop what she was doing once she was over in the corner of the bar and come over and say hi to you?
I didn't have any interaction with her that night, no.
So safe to say that throughout that evening, once she was sidled up next to John O'Keefe or the friends that she was with, she never turned back around and came over and even acknowledged you, correct?
That's correct.
So she basically ignored you the entire evening?
That's not how I interpret it, no.
I didn't ask you how you interpreted it. I asked you what she did. Did she ignore you or did she pay attention to you?
Objection.
You can go ahead and answer that. Did she ignore you?
No.
So she paid attention to you? Came over and said hello, shook your hand, gave you a hug?
Well, just because somebody didn't come over doesn't mean they ignored you.
Did she do those three things?
Hug? What was the other thing?
Say hello, shake your hand, give you a hug?
No, she did not.
No, she didn't do any of those things, did she?
No.
It was like you didn't even exist.
I think that's dramatic. No, I don't look at it that way.
Did she ignore you or not?
No, she did not ignore me.
So what did she do to not ignore you?
She was
interaction with you?
Can I answer now?
Sure.
In my opinion, she was working the room, talking to people, saying hello, catching up.
Right. The one person she didn't come over to talk to and say hello to and catch up with is you.
Well, I don't know that I was the only person, but I was one of the people that she didn't say hello to, yes.
Treated you sort of like a stranger.
I don't feel that way, no.
She actually positioned herself away from you at the other end of the table on the opposite side in the corner. Isn't that right?
I don't know where she was all night, no. I don't know.
Did that upset you that she ignored you or didn't pay attention to you?
I did not feel ignored and didn't upset me at all.
But it bothered you enough to send her a text, didn't it?
No, it was a flirtatious text. It was just, that was it.
It bothered you enough to send her a text that said, with 6 M's behind it.
Okay.
And, well, correct?
Well, it wasn't like that. It was, well, that's it.
Just, well, like a well in the ground.
I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think you do too, sir. You meant, well, when are you going to pay attention to me?
No, that's not correct.
Well, why are you ignoring me?
It's not correct.
Well, am I chopped liver?
Objection.
All right, that's sustained. Mr. Jackson, let's move on.
All right. So that was just a little feel for what happened on Friday when Jackson was cross-examining Higgins. I'm looking at your guys' texts and hello Beach Bum or your messages in the chat. This one had me laughing. Since he was ATF, he thought he outranked everyone, so he had a big head. He joined ATF as soon as he saw alcohol in the title, right? He had 4 drinks before he even goes to the bar. Couldn't answer how many he actually had at the bar. He said a couple. Then he drives to 34 Fairview for the after party. I believe that's right too. I think he had a bruised ego. How do you guys interpret, now remember those, well, is when they're at the bar. So she's at the bar with her boyfriend, John, and he sends those texts to her. Let's see what else. Yeah, she was drunk, and when she responded to him, sobered up and regretted it. See, I think it was definitely regret. That's why she wasn't really responding to him the last few times that he kind of reached out to her. I think that her and John, like many relationships, had, you have your valleys, and they were at a low point. She was feeling insecure based off of whatever happened in Aruba. Now she tells Brian that John hooked up with somebody in Aruba, and Brian Higgins is like, they banged. And she's like, does it really matter? And so I'm under the impression that, John didn't, bang that girl. Sorry to use that term, but it's what they're using. In fact, the girl takes the stand last week and she says, no, that absolutely didn't happen. She denies even like kissing him. But Karen apparently seen them all flirty and assumed that they were, has stated that they kissed. But she wouldn't really come out and tell Higgins exactly like what she saw. She just said that, he was being a jerk and he hooked up with some girl in Aruba. So I seen somebody also said, Dustin said, poor fella. See, I feel that way too. I hope like you guys understand, like I'm not completely sympathizing with this guy because he was definitely friends with John and going behind John's back trying to get with his girl. But I feel like there was a sense of Karen had kind of led him on. Now remember, he honks at her when she's using the weed whacker one day out in the yard, and she flips him off. She didn't realize it was him. He drives back around and, they have a little conversation. She sees that it was him. So you could say that maybe he was being flirty there. Maybe he was just being weird and, I don't know, but she ends up getting his number from a girlfriend and messages him. So that's where I'm kind of like, oh, poor fella, because to me, he strikes me as this guy who just works a lot. He's divorced since 2017. He has no kids. I see him probably as like a lonely, like drinker. And he thought like, oh my gosh, like, why is this girl texting me? I can't believe it. Like Jay said, I feel he got led on and couldn't handle it. Yeah. I agree, Tony. I don't think that she was really interested either. I think that she was just, feeling insecure, mad at mad at John for whatever reason. I'm looking at your messages, Valerie. I'll send you the link if you can hop on. Cool. I like to keep it under 2 hours. So if you can hop on in that time, then that'll be cool. If not, no worries, girl. So I just feel like, hey, B Crumbs and everyone else who's joined, I feel like he was excited that, like, even though he was friends with John, which is kind of like, wow, what a dirtbag. There's two scenarios that could have taken place. He could have gone right to John and said, hey, your girl's texting me. Like, what is this about? I'm not really comfortable with these texts, but instead he took the other route and was, hitting her up, and she was kind of toying with the idea of, being with him or getting with him and not being straightforward. So that's why he was saying things like, what do you want? What's this all about? Hi, Linda. Good to see you. And, just those kind of pushy questions, because I think that he got his hopes up. Like, she led him on, and he's the type that got led on like very quickly. Like, instead of just taking it as what it was, like, she wasn't even being too flirty. I think she said he was hot, and he was like, you're hot too, So it wasn't really even like these text messages were like, oh my gosh, this is so dirty. Like, look at them sexting and sending pics. It was nothing like that. Some of the texts, I was like, this is a boring conversation. Like, both of them were like, beating around the bush, because I think she just wanted an ego boost for whatever reason. And again, it doesn't make it right, but it doesn't make her a murderer in my mind. I've seen these texts and I was like, oh, geez, like, why did she do that? Why did she reach out to him? She's obviously feeling insecure about whatever happened in Aruba. But then again, it doesn't seem like John like hooked up with that girl. That girl took the stand and said that never happened, and all this stuff. So it was just, you could tell that Karen was in a weak state. Doesn't make it right again. But the whole feeling of it was, it doesn't make her a murderer, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree, being bio girl. Cringy, but nothing more. Hi, Debbie Fox. Good to see you. Yeah, she had a few drinks and drunk texted him for an ego boost. Exactly. And he took it and ran with it. And for whatever reason, she starts to not respond to him. You'll see in the text. And it seems like he kind of was like, what the heck? Like, he must have got his hopes up. What's awful too is, he goes over to their house to hang out with John and Karen, and that's totally fair. Mayla's mom says, I still think Karen killed him on accident. That's still up in the air, and that's still a possibility. For sure. I've not made up my mind either way. I just feel like there's way too much deleting of things, butt dials, phones being transferred or phones being switched out for new phones and stuff like that. Like, if Karen just hit him on accident, I keep going back to, why is all this other stuff happening? But again, we still got a lot to go through, a lot of people are also saying, experts are saying, including Defense Diaries, like, we have not seen Commonwealth, really pull out their guns against Karen. Like, there's still stuff that's going to be coming. There's still ammo that they're going to be using. So everyone has kind of been under the impression like, oh, come on, they have nothing. They have nothing. This is ridiculous. But it's not done yet. So we got to wait and see what the Commonwealth has before, we really decide. And of course, that's what the jury is going to do as well. So, yeah, I think so too. I don't think many ladies speak to him. Hi, Melanie. Good to see you. I agree. And I just think that he's like a lonely guy. And, like I said, he works all the time. He drinks all the time. And he got excited thinking like that this girl who's way out of his league was interested in him. And when really, like Beach Bum says, she was just trying to get revenge on John. She has Higgins over at their house, hangouts. She walks him out and gives him a kiss. I mean, not cool. Not cool at all. But again, does that mean she murdered him? I don't think so. And it seems like that's the consensus. Like, yes, Karen, this makes you look bad, but not ready to put guilty on her verdict, pretty much. Not yet. Hi, Marshall Dove. Okay, so let's leave this screen and go back to Court TV. Brian Higgins takes a stand, and they're going to read through the text messages.
Yeah, and we have to keep in mind that he's a professional witness. I know that we've pointed this out before, but he's a federal agent. He has testified time and time again, just like his buddy, one of the Alberts, who's also a police officer, former Boston police officer that owned 34 Fairview. So you have this officer, this federal agent, now reading and testifying to what he texted with the defendant. And he kept calling her the defendant, by the way. I thought that was interesting. But he was reading those flirtatious text messages, and here is what he said on the stand.
Hey, Brian, it's Weed Whacker.
And how did you respond to that?
Question mark. How did you get my digits? Defendant responded, the Melissa and Lito show. I said, haha. I thought you creeped John's phone. I said, haha, again. Defendant responded, no way. I was the last person in Greater Canton who didn't have your number. I think even Kerry has it. I responded, what, with a bunch of question marks? I said, I just don't give my personal number out to anyone. How would Kerry have my number with a bunch of question mark? And the defendant responded, Melissa had it. So there's a photograph of somebody with a weed whacker. The defendant said, no, you're not a creep. I said, nope. She said, you're kind of a loner, which I used to be. I responded, no, not really. I have a ton of buddies, but I only let a handful of friends in that I'm tight with. So you think you got me figured out? And then I typed circle of trust in quotes. So
Beach Bum asked, why did she send a picture of Smirnoff Ice? In the text, she said something about she was drinking it at the time. Let me see B Crumbs, thank you so much for gifting memberships and welcome to those 10 new members. If you are in chat and received a membership, feel free to say thank you to B Crumbs and thank you so much. Let's see what else before we continue. Yeah, I do agree with that too, Linda. I think too many of the little circle are scrambling to cover their butts. Something is not right. I completely agree. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, if this was just Karen, I can't help but see all this other chaos that's happening with all these other people who were at the house, who, were at the scene during, them finding the body and everything like that. It's too much. It's like, if this was just Karen, then why is all this other stuff happening? Why are people getting rid of phones and SIM cards, right? And butt dials. I mean, more than one person butt dialed on the same night. I mean, that's just bizarre, isn't it? In fact, and thank you, Sherry, so much for that super chat. I really appreciate you. And welcome to the moderator team. While we're here and at it, here's a little recap of other people who have talked about butt dials. Where is the volume? There we go. Now remember, this guy is the guy who owns the house. He's already testified. This is just a little recap, talking about Roxanne should be here, Melanie. I sent her a message. She'll be popping in any minute. Oh, thank you, Melanie, for the super sticker. Appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. Hi, Christina.
At 6:30 a.m. that night. To Brian Higgins, at any point between 1:45 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. that night.
No.
You say you inadvertently called him at 2:22 in the morning.
Yes.
How did you inadvertently call him?
Well, I don't know because it was inadvertent.
So I have to explain that.
Well, it's kind of like a butt dial.
I don't like a butt dial. All right.
Well, it's kind of like a butt dial.
With regard to the calls that were deleted from your phone, you were asked about this under oath at another proceeding, weren't you?
Correct.
And you claimed at another proceeding that you had an explanation for all these missed calls starting at 12:29, 12:41, 12:41, 12:43, 12:46, 12:47, 12:50.
Mm-hmm.
You have an explanation for that, right?
Can I see the report?
I'm asking you about your prior testimony.
And I'm asking
about these calls.
Yes, I'm asking, can I see it, please?
I'm asking you a different question. At your other at this other proceeding, which you were under oath,
Yes.
right? You explained that these calls were what? These missed calls, incessant missed calls. What were they? You used a word. Matter of fact, 2 words.
I believe I used the word butt dials.
You claimed that every one of these calls was a butt dial. Is that right?
Yes.
So according to you, you literally butt dialed John O'Keefe's phone 6 times in the span of 19 minutes. Is that right?
I don't remember making any of those calls, so my assumption is I put my phone in my back pocket, and that was it. I believe I used the word butt dials.
You had an explanation for what that 22-second call may have been and what the prior call may have been, correct?
Yes.
What was your explanation?
Well, I used a phrase that people commonly used as a butt dial.
So you think it's possible that you may have butt dialed Brian Albert for a 22-second call that you're not aware of?
I think it's possible that he could have been inadvertently called back, but I have no recollection of that, nor did I have any conversation with anybody.
But you admitted.
Well, I used a phrase that people commonly used as a butt dial.
Yeah, just not really buying the butt dials either. Just like Christina in chat said, not buying it. Anybody else not buying it? In fact, who is believing it? Anybody? I won't judge you if you really believe all these people butt dialed on the same night. Please, feel free to share. We won't judge you. Sherry, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. Welcome to those new members. And please, if you're able to thank Sherry, write it even in the comments section. I'm sure she would love to see those. Yeah, Matt McCabe looks like a dead ringer for stuttering. John from Howard Stern. Yeah, there's just a bunch of characters, aren't they? And Roxanne will be here momentarily. Just checked her messages. All right, let's get back to these cringy text messages. But yeah, I mean, it's just too much with the butt dialing.
The defendant said, yeah, I said loner, not loser. I assume you know a lot of people, PPL, people abbreviated. You never really can figure anyone out completely. Your dad died when you were young. And I responded, he died in March of 2020. I'm so not a loser. You won't figure me out. LOL. Defendant responded, no one is a loser. I just didn't mean loner to imply friendless. I'm sorry that's recent. It wasn't COVID, was it? I responded, cancer. Defendant responded, I know you date girls who don't lock the house behind them and you are private and observant. I'm sorry, what kind? I responded, lung, brain, kidney, and pelvis. How do you know all these things? LOL.
And so this went on for quite a while, but the text messages that raised eyebrows in the courtroom include these that we're going to share with you, and I'm going to read them. Karen Reed writes, I just think that you're like me, and I'm attracted to you a lot. Brian Higgins writes back, feeling is mutual. I just never saw this coming. Reed, why? Higgins, because I assumed that you were happy in your situation. Reed says, I was, but things have deteriorated. So both sides using that set of text messages.
So like I said, I think it just goes back to her and John hit a low point. She was feeling, insecure, needed an ego boost, drinking possibly, and decided, Brian Higgins, I'll just, get some attention from him. He takes it, way too serious. Although how can you blame him? She's over here pretty much saying, like, I assumed you were happy in your situation. She said, I was, but things have deteriorated. So, yeah, exactly, Beach Bum. All these are definitely coming back to bite her.
To their case and how we might hear them characterize that in closing arguments when we get there, Vinny.
Yeah, it's really a fascinating development in all of this and how it could impact motive.
Lip to lip, is that fair to say?
The defendant kissed me.
And how did you kiss you?
Not like a friend.
Lip to lip, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Like a romantic kiss?
That's the way I interpreted it.
And unfortunately, this kiss takes place. And, poor Higgins is taking it as like, oh man, she really likes me. So then when it gets to the night that John dies and they're at the bar and, she won't even look his direction. She won't look his way, pretty much ignoring him. She hasn't responded to his text messages in days, over a week. And, her little game was done. She was done with Higgins. And I think that there's a potential for the theory that maybe he was mad. Right. Cheating doesn't mean she wanted him dead. And I go back to this whole, the Commonwealth is trying to say that John wanted to break up with her and she was mad, so she hit him with her car. And in my mind, I'm thinking she was kind of, things were up and down in her relationship with John. So I don't see her being angry enough to like, no, you're not going to leave me. I'm going to hit you. I see it more as she would have moved on with her life. She knows that she can get another guy. And so I just don't buy the whole theory that she was jealous and angry that he was going to break up with her. I'm not sure how you guys feel about that. But yeah, I agree, Tony. I think she was trying to cause an argument, maybe make John jealous, and make him feel the way that she felt in Aruba.
All right, so after this, we heard that John O'Keefe found out about the kiss. According to his testimony, he said that Karen Reed texted him that John O'Keefe showed her ring video at least 5 times of that interaction, that he knew about it. And then the two of them were joking back and forth about police officers and how many ring cameras or cameras are at their houses.
Wow. What a development. Okay, let's get into another big piece of what happened today, the timeline. Anything clear up in the timeline today?
I think it's as clear as mud at this point in time with all of these witnesses.
All right, so I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit, skip around. I don't want to play this whole thing. I want to keep it just to really Higgins.
Less than an hour.
And what time did you leave?
But yeah, the timeline is all over the place with different people testifying.
How long did you stay at the Albert residence in total? From the time you got there till the time you left?
Maybe like a half hour. Less than an hour.
And what time did you leave say 12:30, you said?
I think I said between 12:30 and 1 a.m.
And you indicated that you pretty much didn't say goodbye to anybody, right?
At the house?
Correct.
I just kind of left. I said, see you later. Turn around, left.
As a matter of fact, at that same hearing that we just looked at, your statement was, I made a beeline out of there, correct?
I don't know if that's the verbiage I used, but I left.
Why the rush? Why did you leave so quick?
Because it was a long day and I just wanted to go home.
Except you didn't go home, did you?
No, I went back to Canton PD.
Right. So it wasn't such a long day that you actually drove home. You went back to the Canton Police Department at 1 or 1:30 in the morning, correct?
To move vehicles, correct.
And then he was really grilled on what exactly he saw when he was inside 34 Fairview at that after party, as John O'Keefe was out on the front lawn, according to the Commonwealth. But he says that someone entered the home during prior testimony, not here at this trial, but prior testimony, he said, and he was grilled about this, seeing a tall man with dark hair walk into the house.
Interesting there as well.
So who is this tall man with dark hair? Oddly enough, a lot of people think it's John, but he was wearing a hat that night. So I don't know, but a lot of people think it was John. Let's see. And this is interesting too. My working hypothesis is victim was hit by snowplow or mirror on a truck and drunken bozos all panicked. That is definitely a possibility. That is definitely something that I was thinking as well for a while. Now I have a new theory that I want to share with you guys after we get through some of this stuff.
Unidentified person in the house. Okay, this is Friday, holiday weekend. What's next in the case?
Right. So this jury has 3 nights. They have the additional day off like the rest of us because of the holidays. So court.
Let's take a look and a listen.
You cranky now, question mark. Defendant said, haha, no, just stop being so anti-couples. Most couples don't even like each other. I said, name a few. Defendant said, name a few. I don't know. All of them, question mark. They all want to hang out with single people. And then I said, Defendant responded, you're hot. I responded, are you serious or messing with me? Defendant responded, no, I'm serious. I responded, failing is mutual. Is that bad? How long have you thought that?
See, and now I just picture this guy like all alone getting these text messages from Karen, very, very attractive woman. And, she says, you're hot. And he's like, are you serious or messing with me? I think that like he really was like, confused, but also like excited and willing to go behind John's back. Remember, that's his brother in blue. That's his friend. Yes, what Karen is doing is wrong, but I think, they were both in a situation like nobody stepped up and did the right thing and just ended it. And it just kept getting worse and worse. And I think Brian really, got his hopes up. And Karen was just playing around with them.
Defendant responded, are you okay driving? You don't want to stay here. I responded back, I'm fine. I have an office at the PD. You didn't answer the question. And then it starts to say, defendant said, rather you stay here. I wish. I think you're messing with me. The defendant said, why do you think that? I responded, because this is so out of left field. Where did these feelings come from? Defendant responded, I just think you're like me. I said, meaning, question mark. Defendant said, do you have your own kids? I said, I have no kids. How am I like you? Question mark. Hello. And defendant responded, aren't we alike? I responded, I think so. So why did you get my number and reach out to me? And I think the defendant put a question mark on that bubble, I believe. Shoot straight with me. Defendant responded, I told you, I just think we're alike, right? Couple question marks. I responded, yes, agree. Now what? Defendant responded, I don't know. I said, shouldn't you know? Defendant responded, do you like me? I said, yes, from jump. Defendant said, when was jump? I said, first time I saw you. Defendant responded, when was that? I said, Hillside for your sure. Hillside for sure. When were you interested? Defendant responded, I don't know, you're just my type. I responded, you think you can handle me? I thought you were happy, question mark. Defendant responded, how do you know if I'm happy? I said, I just assumed. Defendant responded, are you hard to handle? I may have put a question mark. Then I said, what do you like about me? Defendant responded, I just feel like you're from my neighborhood. I said, yes, yeah, ditto. Defendant responded, and I think you're hot. You really think that? I have always thought that about you. Defendant responded, what? I responded that you're hot, smart, witty, but I didn't think you were interested. Defendant responded, witty. I responded, yeah, meaning quick with a response. Tell me why you got my number and reached out to me. Defendant responded, just thought we were the same / from the same neighborhood. I responded, are you afraid to say what's on your mind? What's in your mind? And then I said, on. Defendant responded, no, didn't I? No, didn't I? ? I'm glad I stopped by. I should have come earlier. Do you really live in Mansfield? Defendant responded, yeah. I was basically begging you. I responded, you don't have to beg me. I meant to say beg. Defendant responded, huh? I said, I will give you what you want. How are you texting right now? And I said, leaving me hanging. Defendant responded, no. I typed kids and then kinda. Defendant responded, how am I texting? And I began to say, is everyone asleep? I just wide awake on my phone. Yes, they are. I said, I should have stayed, LOL. So now what? ? Defendant said, yes, you should have. I responded, that would have been distracting. So now what? So no, what? And then I said, now. Defendant said, now what? ? I responded, balls in your court. Defendant said, what do you want? I responded, loaded question. What do you want? ? Defendant responded, I asked you, ! I in turn said, nope, you initiated this. Defendant said, hey, we're single and we don't have kids. We can do whatever we want. I responded, don't you have a boyfriend? ? Defendant responded, where are you? ? I said, Canton. Defendant said, where? ? I responded, my office is at the PD. Why? Are you going to Mansfield? ? Defendant responded, where is that? I said, Canton PD. Defendant said, I have a house there from before I reconnect.
And see, just another, hello, Roxanne. So glad you're here. Another example of her. Yeah, she's talking in circles and her kind of like leading him on in an unfair way. But yeah, she's doing this for an ego boost, not excusing it, not saying it's right. When she starts saying like, we're both single and we don't have kids. And he's like, don't you have a boyfriend? She doesn't answer that question. It's like, you're not single though. Like you're John's girlfriend. So it's just a little bit of like, I can see why Higgins kind of got, I don't know. He was led on. But at the same time, shame on him for not just, I mean, what do? You guys let me know, especially the men in chat. If this was you guys and this is your friend's girlfriend, are you going to go back and forth? And I won't judge you guys either, because I can see why, like, some people might feel, lonely or weak or maybe excited. She's a very attractive woman. What do you guys do when you're getting text messages? Like if you were getting text messages like Higgins was getting, do you go to John and say like, dude, what's up with this? Like, I hate to break it to you, but like, I feel like she's flirting with me. I don't know what to take with these text messages. Or do you, do what Higgins is doing and it's like, okay, I'll roll with this. Like, maybe her and me are meant to be, like we just don't know what was going on in his head. But yeah, Zoe says, I think she was mean. I definitely don't think that she shouldn't have reached out to him. She went out of her way to get his number. You reach out and show the messages. Yeah, because they need to know who they are with. Someone who's trying to play away from home. Yeah. I can see it with many guys. No offense to anyone, but there is a bro code too, right? Yeah, John was never his friend, clearly. I tell John, yo woman is a two-timer. Right. Yes, she was wrong. And that's the thing is like, it doesn't look good for her, right? But is she a murderer? If she killed him, wouldn't she know that all these messages and stuff were going to come out and kind of make her look even worse? That's why it's like, I'm having a hard time that she purposely hit him, because too much at stake to be used against her. If he was a good friend, he would have told John, right?
Did W. John. I responded, oh, I feel like you're not really saying what's on your mind. Do you like me? Question mark. I responded, yes, clearly. Defendant said, come over my house. I responded, when? Question mark. Defendant said, when works for you? I said, whoever, and then whenever, when works for you? Question mark. The defendant said, I asked you first. I responded, I think you're messing with me. Defendant said, I'm glad you came over tonight, with some type of face. I responded, me too, balls in your court. What do you want, Karen? You look great tonight. Are you going home tonight or tomorrow a.m.? Defendant texted, we kissed, comma, right? Question mark. So then I put a question mark on her question and said, is this a trick question? Defendant said, I don't know when I'm going home. I'm selling my house, with what I think is a smiley face. What a trick question, and a couple of question marks. I responded, are you moving to Canton? I'm following your lead with this. Defendant responded, I live here, but I have property in Enfield. I'm guessing it's Medfield. Defendant said, why my lead? I don't want any responsibility. I responded, you started this, right? Question mark. Why did you get my number? And it says, reach out to me. It meant to say, reach out to me. I then said, still have not told me. Defendant said, sorry, should I not have? I responded, I'm fine with it. Just don't know why you can't answer. Defendant said, you're mad at me? I said, OMG, no, not at all. You're being silly. Defendant said, I told you, exclamation point. I just think you're like me and I'm attracted to you. And then she said, a lot. I responded, feeling is mutual. I just never saw this coming. Defendant said, why? Question mark. I responded, because I just assumed you were happy with your situation. Defendant responded, I was, but things have deteriorated.
What does this mean? But what does this mean for the murder trial? We'll talk about that with our trial insiders when we come back. Plus, coming up.
All right. So looks like that's as far as they go with the text messages. I'm kind of skimming through. I do see. Okay, maybe we'll get back to the commentators, but I really want to focus on one part of the text message that I've showed in my clips. So let me pull my clips up again, because their last correspondence is important for my theory.
Read.
Okay, hold on. Skipping ahead. So this is their last correspondence at the bar. Well, so how do you guys take the well? I kind of took it as, so are you done talking to me? Like, well, so you're just going to ignore me? And remember, they're all at the same bar. Karen allegedly didn't even look in his direction. But what's interesting to me is the next day, you know, after everyone knows that John has passed, she sends him a text and says, John died. Now that's interesting to me, because not only does he not respond to her ever again, you know, if you're innocent, you have nothing to do with anything, the tragedy that took place, you know, why wouldn't he swoop in now and try to date her? Why wouldn't he be there for her to cry on his shoulder? Why wouldn't he, you know, give some, like, oh my God, like what happened? You know, some kind of response. And for her to say, you know, just to go both ways, because I don't know her guilt or innocence at this point yet. You know, we haven't seen the whole trial. Her saying John died, it's almost like she knew. I don't know. That's just like a weird way to put it. Do you guys feel the same way? Like, instead of saying an accident took place last night and John was killed, John died, is almost like she knew. This is my theory. So let me just lay it out there. Okay, hold on. Give me a second to kind of collect my thoughts. So there's talk that that John was on to maybe knew about possibly the kiss between Karen and Brian. I'm sure she denied it, kind of smoothed things over, and then she decided like, okay, I'm just not going to respond to him anymore. That was just a little fun I was trying to have. I just wanted to boost my ego, get some attention for the moment, get John jealous, but I'm not, interested in Brian. So I'm just going to try to smooth things out with John, and I want to be with John. Okay, Valerie, if you're trying to get on, I'll just add you when you're ready. So I'm just saying, I have a feeling that, hold on. I'm just looking through my notes because I've been going back and forth on like a lot of stuff, and you guys know I kind of had that theory that they wanted to paint it as if a snowplow possibly hit him, but then as soon as Karen started saying, "Did I hit him? Could I have hit him?" they decided to go with that theory. So the theory is John was mad about finding out about Brian Higgins texting or contacting Karen. So remember, she drops him off at that house, right? So they're at the bar. We see them on camera, all lovey-dovey, and everything looks good, right? I mean, let's see them on camera. We've got the clip. Everything looks good. So then what takes place from this moment here to when they're at Fairview? So in my opinion, when Higgins is texting her, now a lot of people who cheat or who are going behind their significant other's back, if they're texting another person, they are not going to put that other person's name in their phone. So I doubt it, in my opinion, that Karen had Brian Higgins in her phone under that name. So in my theory, it's she gets these text messages from Brian. They're going to be leaving the bar. She doesn't want to respond. She's driving, so John's in the passenger seat. And when you're a driver, you don't really have your phone on you. And maybe John's seen her phone, going off. Maybe that's when the well comment or texts were going through or showing on her phone. Maybe she didn't open it at the time that they were sent to her. So it was kind of just on like the notifications page, like on your screen. And he's like, who's this? Who's trying to get a hold of you? Maybe he even picked her phone up or something, And hi, Alex, good to see you. So he's in the passenger seat, she's driving, and they get to Fairview, and he's like, what's going on? Who's this person texting you? Or, maybe he even felt a weird vibe at the waterfall, whatever that bar is called. And he confronts her, why don't you want to come into the party? Why? Is it because Higgins is there? Did something happen between you two? Like, I knew it, or what's going on? You need to tell me right now. Yeah, the text was at 11:32 that he sent, but if she didn't open it, like your phone sometimes like has the text on your like notification screen, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking maybe it like showed a number with the message like on her screen, like while she was driving, or maybe he picked up on a weird vibe because she didn't even say hi to him there. And if he was kind of knowing about this kiss that took place, maybe he was like feeling like, okay, so then that John's feeling like, okay, that kiss must have taken place because she totally ignored him at the bar. Like maybe he was feeling some sort of vibe between Higgins and Karen that night, and he was just like confronting her about it, maybe. And so the well, hi. I think you're muted.
Hi, Amber. Can you hear me?
Yes, I love hearing your voice. So
hello, everybody.
So Thank you for joining. I pretty much just wanted to talk to you about my theory because we've kind of messaged about it here and there. And I don't know, it's sometimes just easier for me to talk to somebody on panel instead of like trying to think of my thoughts to the chat. But I'm feeling like maybe there was some sort of tip off with John between Higgins and Karen. And, everything was fine and dandy on that CCTV footage. But by the time they get in front of the house and, she doesn't want to go into the party and Higgins is already there, maybe John was like, okay, so what's really going on? And there was some sort of like confrontation in the car about her and Brian Higgins. What do you think?
I definitely think so. I think that she, like you said, obviously didn't want to go inside the house. He probably was like, why are you being weird? Come inside. And then I don't know if also because of a guilty conscience, but then she said to him that they were texting. Maybe she just showed him some of the text messages. And then I don't know if he went in there to confront Brian or if like a jealousy fight happened. But I think that jealousy was like out at the root of everything.
Yes, like there was a point when we were talking through Jen McCabe's testimony and we were looking at the like phone logs and stuff, and John talks to Jen McCabe on the phone like before walking into the house. Let me check my notes on that because I have that. So I was thinking maybe, during their little like talk, like you were just saying, they were kind of like, come clean about it or, whatever, this conversation in the car. Okay, so it says 12:27, Jen McCabe texts O'Keefe here. O'Keefe answers a call from Jen McCabe. So maybe, okay, so she calls John, but maybe during that phone call, John says something to Jen like, I'm going to beat Higgins' ass. Like, I just found out, something about him. You know what I mean? Or maybe there was something where Jen was kind of tipped off that like John was mad at Higgins. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
and
then
we just don't know because we don't have any of their text messages except the few that they copied and pasted or said they screenshot it. We don't have anything.
yeah. So what if, because we know Colin is at the party too, and he's kind of been thrown around as like a possible suspect, I guess you could say. And again, this is just a theory. This isn't just saying like it had to been Colin, but a lot of people feel like, with his knuckles story, they were all torn up and he tells everybody, oh, I fell, you fall on your knuckles. Everyone's like, that just doesn't happen, So I'm kind of trying to figure out like, so where does this whole Colin thing come in? Maybe Jen gets off that phone call with John and is like, John's pissed. Like he's ready to come in here and tear things up because something's going on between Higgins and Karen. And basically the whole theory in my mind is something along the lines of, potentially finding out about Higgins texting and contacting Karen. And when he got the text from Higgins at 12:20 and said, are you coming? And off he went into the house and a fight ensued. So she doesn't go in the house because she knows like, oh my God, like there's about to be a fight. Like I'm not going in there. There's no stopping him. He just wants to confront Higgins, So John's going in there on a mission because he's kind of realized like something's going on between those two, which kind of explains Karen leaving voicemails, calling him an asshole and stuff like that, because she's like, oh God, like something's about to happen, And then I think about her text here the next day to Higgins, John died. It's almost like she knew they were going to get in a fight. And because of that fight, she sends the message, John died. Like as a result of what I knew was going to happen, he died. Like, do you see what I'm saying there?
Yeah, no, the text is so weird. And just him not responding, I think like really speaks volumes.
Right. It's like, what? So the voicemails haven't been played, right? Of her. I don't think they've played the voicemails in court yet, but she was mad. Like she called him, on her way home or at home and was like, obscene language. But the text message, John died, is just so weird to me. And again, him not responding, it's like, are you refraining from incriminating yourself? Like, if you're totally innocent, like, why not respond?
Yeah, no, it makes no sense. You would think he would say something like, "Oh my," like be surprised by it, unless he already knew, which that's what I think, obviously.
Yeah, so possibly he storms in the house. Sometimes I even feel like maybe he didn't even make it in the house. Maybe like the confrontation happened outside. And they're like, "No, you're not going to come in here with that," or whatever. Um, so anyways, a fight ensues possibly in the basement or somewhere in the house. The dog gets involved. Um, it was most likely in between Brian and Colin. Maybe Colin, who's drunk already there partying with his friends, has like alcohol, what's it called? Courage, and decides like, "Oh no, you're not going to come in here," and blah blah blah, and then for whatever reason gets involved in this fight.
I could see that. And did you see like videos that people have come forward and shown Colin fighting, even though he said he's never been in a fight?
Yes. Yeah, and he's like, there's other things that I've been seeing too, of like tweets between Colin, like after everything was kind of happening, where he was like threatening people even on Twitter. And it's like, this isn't a good look for you, dude. Like, you're coming off as a very angry, like, young guy. Loose cannon, possibly.
Yeah, and I think that he was medicated when he was on the stand. Like, I think they gave him something to relax him. I watched his testimony like yesterday, and he just seemed like he was kind of sedated.
Interesting. Yeah, I need to rewatch that because sometimes it's like with everything else coming out, I want to go back and like, okay, well, what did Colin have to say again? So the whole thing about Jen McCabe, like, why was she being so shady? I kind of expressed to you too in messages, like so Allie is her daughter, right?
Yes, she's the one that cried on the stand, right? About because she said Colin wasn't there when John was there. Is that
Yeah.
her?
Yeah. And so she ends up being Colin's ride home. So it kind of goes back to like, well, maybe that's why Jen felt the need to kind of, lie and act the way she did, because her daughter is pretty much involved in the sense of like, she came to pick up Colin. And if Colin had anything to do with anything, she's kind of being the escape route for somebody who's involved in this murder, And again, it might not have been Colin or whoever's intention who got in this alleged fight. Somebody said they haven't seen the video of Colin.
They could find it either. I think. Well, I don't know. Can I say like Court TV? I can say that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, they could see on Court TV or Law and Crime Network. And by the way, I can't see comments because I'm on my phone. Just letting people know.
Hold on, it's not like what was the fight video? I don't think I've seen Colin's fight video.
That was on, I'm not sure whose channel I saw on YouTube. I don't know how long ago it was. It was definitely before I think John died.
Like boxing?
Just him and other guys at a party, it looked like.
There's this video I have that doesn't look that great for Colin. Hold on.
Oh, and there's the Adele one. Is this the Adele one?
I think. I don't know. It's just him kind of like threatening whoever. I don't know. Hold on.
The whole bang bang one?
Yeah, I think so. Again, same with Karen. Just because she sent those text messages doesn't make her a murderer. Same with Colin here. Like, just because he acts like a little jerk doesn't make him a murderer. But
yeah,
interesting.
That's something I said to Jay. Like, I think he's like a little punk. Like, he might just be all talk. But if I could see him also, if there's a fight with someone else, him getting involved or even him throwing the first punch. But I don't think he was the only one involved.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing is when you're drinking, you're acting in ways that you normally never would, So that's unfortunately another element that we have to add for everybody involved in this. Karen, Higgins, Colin, everybody was drinking. I saw him talking about fighting. Was that the tweets that you were seeing on Twitter? Or hold on, let me play this.
Hi, Alex.
It's only like 10 seconds.
Yo, your advantage boys. I will beat all your asses. I promise you, I will fuck you all up. Pull up, bitch.
I mean, he seems like a lot of people that I went to high school with that just think that they're hard and they're not. But then again, he might have been involved. So I don't know. What do you?
It can go either way, like we don't really know these people. Like same with Karen, like when I read these text messages and I was like, oh my God, like why would she go out of her way to get a hold of this Higgins guy? You know what I mean? I was just kind of like, not angry, but I was like, we don't know this woman, and for whatever reason, she needed that ego boost. It doesn't seem like John cheated though. If we can believe what the girl said, and she pretty much denied anything happened.
Do you think that nothing happened in Aruba?
It's hard to say because he was drinking too. So could he have seen, Melly says he seems unstable. I could see that totally. Like, again, like your brain isn't even fully developed until whatever age, in your early 20s. I don't know I can't remember how old he was when all this took place, but I mean, like I said, when the family started getting harassed, when the case broke and like things were coming out on Twitter and stuff, there were tweets. I wish I had screenshots of them, but Colin is like on Twitter, like threatening people and stuff. And it's like, dude, you're supposed to be making yourself like not look so sketchy, and it's like not working. You're looking very unhinged and angry, but there's just so many different scenarios, I think, in my mind. Like even the plow on Higgins' car, he's got that plow on his car. He testified that he had to lift it up when he got in his car to leave. So it was down at one point. Is it possible that those marks or any mark, I guess, on John's body could have been caused by Higgins' plow? We all kind of assumed like, well, it's possible a regular plow could have hit him. But now it's like, well, Higgins, he's the one who was kind of ghosted by Karen. Maybe he's mad enough, or maybe John went after him like outside or whatever. And he's like, I don't know. It's hard to say like, oh yeah, he hit him with the plow, but there's just so many things that I feel like could have taken place, and it can't just be Karen with her car and her broken taillight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And no, I think whoever did it, I do think it was an accident. I don't think that anyone intentionally tried to kill him. I do think they obviously did leave him in the cold. They would know what the result would be.
Mm-hmm. And that's
But
the other
I think
thing
that
is,
it was the accident that
yeah,
got out of hand.
I agree. Like, I think even if it was a fight, even if a plow hit him, even if Karen hit him, I think it was all unintentional, alcohol involved, didn't think it was going to go that far, or didn't even think, she hit him, it's like, so, but then I keep going back to, well, if Karen accidentally hit him, why are all these other people getting new phones and destroying SIM cards and butt dialing each other? That's where it's like, I almost feel like Karen is like at the bottom of my list for suspects.
I've never seen a case or heard of anyone butt dialing so much in my life. Like, it's crazy how much that they say that they do. And it's like the lawyer, how he made a point about the 22 seconds is enough to leave a message. He wanted to count down. The judge is like, no, you cannot do that.
Yeah, I know. That was ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry, but 22 seconds, like you could get a message across to anybody real quick in 22 seconds.
Yeah, and Jen having to make contact with her phone, I think he said 14 times. You have to have your phone to be able to stop it before the voicemail comes each time. And I do think that she was looking for his phone. I think it got lost in the fight, and she was trying to locate it because she said Like if she's trying to search for her phone, she might call it to try to find it.
Yeah. See, oh my gosh, you just remind me of something else Brian Higgins said on the stand. I think it was last week.
What?
They were asking him about when he left the house. And remember, he left the house to go to the police station. And he said he was doing administry work, and come to find out he was like moving vehicles or whatever. And he, he was saying like to Jackson, like, well, I was moving vehicles or whatever. And then he says something along the lines of, it's on camera. So then I just started thinking like, oh my God, he went there and purposely put himself on camera as like an alibi.
That makes total sense. That definitely does. To him to show that he was there at a certain time, he was like working, he could say. So yeah, I didn't even think of that, but that makes perfect sense.
Because he literally said like to him, he's like, well, it's on camera. I'm sure it's on camera. It's like, oh, how convenient. So when someone's dying, you're seen on camera somewhere else.
Yeah, that is a good defense. I could see him using that for sure.
And so the whole butt dialing or calling John's phone to find it, possibly it was lost in the fight. Maybe when they dragged him outside, it got lost in the snow.
That could be the case. Did they say it was below, it was underneath him, right?
Yeah. So maybe they found it and they're like, oh, put it here. Or then I was also thinking like, what if they had the phone? I don't know. I just think so many different things, because it's like, this is just complex in a way with so many different people involved. You know what I mean?
There's so many players involved. It's honestly, the jury's probably thinking like, who's Karen? Because it seems like the witnesses are the ones on trial.
Yeah. And that's where I feel like the defense, people have like criticized, oh, they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And it's like, but that's what they're supposed to do. Like, they don't have to prove a theory. You know what I mean? They don't have to prove who did this. They just have to say like, all this sketchy stuff is taking place, butt dials, people getting new phones, people destroying SIM cards, people deleting searches on Google. You know what I mean? That Google search, like, I still believe it was 227.
227. Yeah, I definitely think so too. And there's just too many things. Like, I could feel bad for Higgins. Like, I felt secondhand embarrassment, and I could see feeling bad for him. He seemed, I don't know, I did really feel embarrassed for him. But just, there's so many different quote unquote coincidences that have happened in this case for it not to be something else going on.
And if you're Higgins and John comes at you aggressively, I mean, he has every right in a way to defend himself, you know? Like,
yeah,
say John,
definitely.
and it's like, dude, why are you texting my girlfriend? Like, she's not interested, like, leave it alone, and like swings at him first. Like, if Higgins decides I'm going to swing back, you know, it's kind of like, it could be a scenario where it was like, oh shit, like, he knocks him out cold, leaves him there. That's why I'm thinking like, what if this was outside, or, you know, even inside? I guess it could have happened. And
The
decide
only reason that I lean, sorry, I was going to say the only reason I lean towards inside is because of them changing the basement floors.
Yeah, and all the blood. It's like, if this happened outside, there had to have been blood. So, say John goes inside on a rampage and, you know, goes after Higgins, and Higgins decides to fight back, you know, and then leaves. He's like, you know what, F this, I'm getting the hell out of here. And then other people kind of clean. I don't know. It's hard. It is hard because.
How close, do we know how close Higgins was with Colin? Do we know if they kind of knew each other?
See, I don't know much. I don't know about Colin. That's why it's kind of like, why would Colin step in? But at
That's
the same
what I'm wondering. Yeah.
Yeah, like if Higgins was like super close, and Colin felt the need to, like, you know, don't come after, you know, Brian that way, you know. I don't know, but I feel like Colin is the type, or anybody who's drunk could just be the type like, oh, a fight's taking place, let me get in on this. Like that's happened before, you know?
Yeah, so I mean, I could see maybe he was just drunk and he just got involved with the fight, but I also wonder because he's not that close with him. I don't know. I go back and forth about what I think with Colin, but they were all so precise about the one thing them remembering was that 12:10 time with Colin. And so that makes me think that he was involved because they're all trying to say he wasn't there then.
Yeah.
So
And that was, and again, I go back to Jen McCabe kind of lying and being shady like she was. If her daughter was the drive away person for somebody who did this, like the daughter is kind of an accomplice in a way, or like knew about something after the fact, right?
yeah, definitely, because he would have said something to her, obviously in the car, and I would think he probably would have bloody knuckles and everything. And everyone that I've shown that picture to, they're like, "No, you do not fall down on your knuckles." I mean, I'm curious in chat if anyone has ever done that, but I've fallen down, I put my palms down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I actually, the Glare was talking about one time when he was drunk and fell on his knuckles, he broke his wrist.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, that's another thing my friend said. They said you would have broke your finger. You'd break your fingers falling that way.
Right. So it's like Higgins definitely sketchy to me, going to the police station after drinking all night and that late into the night when a snowstorm is coming, like, and he's going there to do administrative work, moving vehicles or whatever, to be seen on camera. It's like, what role did he have in all this,
Yeah. And didn't he say to the lawyer, one of the reasons too was they didn't have the whiskey or whatever he wanted, that they had beer, but didn't he say he also wanted to go home? But then Jackson's like, but you didn't go home.
Yeah, he was like, I was tired and just wanted to go home. He's like, but you didn't go home. That was great.
Oh my God, I love the way he was. Honestly, I felt like I was watching the roast of Brian Higgins because just the stuff he was saying, like,
No. He's like, so she ignored you. And he was like, that it's true. She ignored you, but he didn't want to admit it. And it's like, oh man, this guy's ego is so hurt.
Yeah, that's why I was saying if I didn't think he was like really involved, I'd feel bad for him because of all the things that was being said.
Yeah, everyone was driving and drinking.
It's insane how much they were, and all cops also, and underage people.
Yes, and that almost, pays to the theory of like they just thought they were untouchable in a way.
They do seem like that family that is the untouchable family that everybody knows of in the town. That's how they're coming across to me.
Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate because whatever role Higgins did play into this, I mean, she went out of her way to kind of reach out to, like, he shouldn't have been weak enough to fall for it. Like he should have gone to John or just never responded to Karen, but he kind of gets pulled into this because, his weakness, like she's an attractive woman, and then whatever took place, like in my mind, and I think you were saying as well, like it wasn't intentional. It wasn't premeditated, I don't think.
Yeah, that's why I wonder why they upped the charges. Because wasn't it at first manslaughter and then they changed it to second degree, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why do you think they changed it?
People have been saying that as soon as as soon as Karen started saying like cover up from police, all of a sudden they cracked down on her. So I don't know.
Because that's the only way I could see maybe it being Karen was if it was an accident, but all of the injuries don't match being hit by a car. They just don't. And the arm doesn't look like bite marks to me. It looks like claw marks to me, like a dog's claws.
Yeah, and dog claws, or I'm still kind of thinking like, what if it was from a plow? Because then we were saying, or at least I was saying to you in messages, like, where is John's baseball hat? Where is his other shoe? Where is
I
his
was just
belt?
thinking that, yeah. And that's what I said to you. Like, I think the belt probably has chew marks on it.
Ah. Right.
And there would be no other excuse for why that belt would have like animal chew marks. Because if they're having a fight, you could see him grabbing the Chloe grabbing the belt.
Mm-hmm. Like he's already down, or yeah, he's either standing and Chloe's kind of like going at him and like getting his belt as well. Or even if he had fallen down to the ground and Chloe's kind of like just having her way, like,
Yeah.
you know how dogs are when they like rip things up.
And I can't believe they're trying to say that even their dog didn't hear the commotion going on outside. That just makes no sense.
Yeah, hold on. Let me show this other post I wanted to share too.
Do you and speaking to Chloe, and in chat, do you think she's actually in Vermont and okay, or do you think that something bad happened? And that I know some people are saying like they think she's even in the pool.
Yeah, I have seen theories of people saying that Chloe was killed.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, how about the vomit in or on John's boxers? Right. And a lot of people have said, well, when you get a head injury, you know, you vomit. So it's kind of like, so then how did it get on his boxers? Was he sitting up?
Did they even test the vomit?
I'm not sure.
And just that makes me think of total other case, but of course it's always on my mind. It makes me think of the vomit at Survey 319.
Right. Just
yeah.
Yeah, we don't have like a person to that vomit either, or an explanation. Even though we heard NK and Jim were both sick. So this was posted in a Facebook group. Brian Albert, now the owner of the home, said he didn't wake up when a screaming lady and first responders were all over his yard. He also wants us to believe his aggressive dog, which was in his room and had 2 windows looking outside, wasn't barking. But it woke up the neighbors at 32 Fairview Road, and this is what they saw. So this is the neighbor's view.
Oh, wow. I didn't know this part.
Yeah. So Brian claimed in his testimony, like, oh, no, I never woke up when everyone was outside. It's like, how? Like these red lights alone would be waking me up.
That would completely wake me up. Like there's been a tow truck outside my house before, lights every time I wake up. Even if the sirens aren't on, you just see the flashing lights.
Yeah. Even the garbage man wakes me up sometimes. Like not even just the noise, like, I don't know. It's like you can sense somebody in front of your house.
I don't know if chat can, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can anybody hear me?
I hear you now, loud and clear.
I feel like those old Verizon commercials.
Marco, I'm just kidding.
Right. Christina says plow still sounds reasonable.
Yeah, and they've brought up the plow a lot. Like a lot of the people on the stand have brought up a plow, and so has the Commonwealth and prosecution. I mean, the defense and Commonwealth have all spoken about plows.
And Higgins had a plow on his Jeep.
Yeah, exactly. RV there yet? I was thinking that too. I really hope that's not the case, but I kind of, if I had to guess, that's what I'm thinking too.
Right, because for them to say, no, she was rehomed in Vermont, we know where she is, but that sounds so much better to the public than if the truth was they put it down and cremated so there was no evidence.
Yeah, and they were saying they didn't even seem like they cared that much about the dog, so.
Right, and think about it. These people are getting new phones and they're destroying SIM cards. I mean, obviously Higgins didn't own Chloe, but I'm just saying like this inner circle is doing all these sketchy things like to cover their own asses. I could see them putting down a dog and cremating it so there was no evidence, you know?
Yeah, definitely. You would think that they would, because the public has been like kind of loud about Chloe, you'd think they would try to show like she's okay and put out a picture. I don't know, do something. Maybe that sounds dumb, but just
Yeah.
because everyone thinks that she's like in the pool, to be like, no, she's in Vermont. This is her new family.
And why didn't the defense kind of try harder to get Chloe's like DNA or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing they said was pig DNA, which is so weird. Especially, I know I told you, but people have already said about all the cops being involved. But pig DNA just is weird. Do you think it's because they ate? Like, oh, you were saying you think they ate potato skins, right?
Somebody had said something about somebody in that house party had potato skin snack at the bar. And then we also heard the theory, but nothing has ever been shown as proof, that possibly Chloe was the type of dog that liked pig ears, because some people buy pig ears for their dogs. I don't know. But Sherry, thank you so much for gifting 5 more memberships. Really appreciate you.
Aw,
And Music City
Sherry.
Mom for being a member for 7 months. Yes, thank you so much, Sherry. We appreciate you very much. Hold on, so anyways, I wanted
finally
to
have my membership back.
Yay!
I know, and I had it before for like over 3 years. I'm so upset. I got a new card, and then I couldn't find. I don't know why. I'm a mod, and I couldn't even find the join button. Not a very good mod.
I forgive you. I'm just kidding. No biggie. I mean, the membership is only $1.99, so it's not like, you know, it's not like I relied on your membership to like meet.
I know, but still, I like to. And I like it saying like you've been a member for 36 or 70 months or however long it says.
No, I know what you mean. It's kind of like you want that like badge of honor, like, oh, now I have to start all over.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. I've started with watching with you with Chris Watts like over 3 years, like way over 3 years now.
Yeah, and people are like messaging me like, "Are you going to do another Watts live?" I'm like, "I'm like so deep in this Karen Read trial, like you guys got to give me a minute." We'll get back to it.
Right? I was so upset. Exactly. I was so upset that I had to miss it today. What happened? I saw Higgins though.
Yeah, the only thing interesting that really happened today was Higgins, in my opinion, was Higgins and the children testified, but they were not on camera or audio.
Do you think that I understand completely them not showing them on camera, but do you think we should have been able to hear the audio?
It's hard because they're minors, so I don't know. I don't know. It's hard.
I think that would play at the jury's heartstrings. I think that definitely was the move there for the prosecution.
I know that Turtle Boy did kind of like his own recap. I could play that if you guys want. I know some people are like, "Oh, I can't stand Turtle Boy." I don't have like an opinion at all. Hi, Kelly, and everyone else who's joined. I don't have an opinion
Hi,
really
Kelly.
at all. Like,
I don't have any opinion either. Honestly, I've seen like, well, I just don't have an opinion either way, but I know he's done a lot for her.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, it seemed he hasn't said anything that has been proven like, no, you lied when you did this. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
He's just
I
reporting.
did see the one. Yeah, I did see also one video where he did go up to Jen McCabe at, I don't know if it was a lacrosse game or something like that, about this search, about the 227 search, and her like Matt's in the video too. And I don't know if you've seen it. It's an interesting video, but they end up like calling the police on him, I think.
Oh my God. Yeah, he's, I think, gotten in some trouble since this trial or case in general has started. Okay, so people want me to play. It's only 7 minutes.
Okay.
He wasn't getting the best service either, so it's kind of like not crisp, but you can still hear him. So this is him. He sat in for the niece and nephew. And I agree with what Melly said. Hold on, let me go back up. In response to the pig DNA and stuff, she says something along the lines of feeling like, oh yeah, the evidence tested is invalid in my opinion. I don't think it was properly handled. And I kind of was suspecting that as well. Like maybe a mistake happened through like the custody process of the evidence, or maybe even in the lab. Just kind of weird for pig DNA to come up, you know?
Obviously, they told us we can't like live tweet or anything like that in the courtroom, so we had to take notes the old-fashioned way. Right. So for both kids when they testified, so both kids did testify. The boy went first, and I'm just going to read my notes here, okay? So first thing, for Lally's, what you doing his usual nonsense, wasting time asking stupid questions like, what's your favorite sport? What's your favorite subject? Wasting time like that. He asked the boy if Karen was took care of them. He said yes, that the relationship was sometimes tough and sometimes good between Karen and John, that there were disagreements and yelling that happened, quote unquote, frequently, more towards the end. He says that she was, quote, nice most of the time to them. Lally asks if there were not so nice times between John and Karen, to which the defense objected and led to a sidebar because that's a stupid question. And he said that that there was a few times that he got in trouble and yelled at by Karen, but he said that when she got mad at him for taking a long time to eat food. So this is the stupid conversation that's going on in there right now, and that she would ignore them and kind of like go away and just like when she was mad at them. He doesn't recall if the fights led to her leaving the house. He said that the Aruba arguments were nothing crazy, that when he came back to Meadows Ave, everyone looked down and sad, and that Paul informed him what happened because he did not sleep in the house that night. He says that Karen looked sad and was crying at the kitchen table, and there were a couple others. He said that there was a computer upstairs because they always talk about this computer and insinuate she deleted ring camera footage, that there was a computer upstairs in the office, and that he doesn't remember if the defendant had an account. They called her the defendant, which is pretty gross. Both kids were coached to call her the defendant. And but he doesn't remember if she had an account. So if she doesn't have an account, then she couldn't have deleted the ring camera footage as these idiots like to suggest she did.
They have been saying that for a while, that Karen had access to the ring camera and that she deleted footage. The kids and other people have come out and saying like, no, we don't think she had access to it, or she didn't have access to it. So interesting. So I'm gonna, Valerie, I'll remove you because it says you're still.
Oh, I'm good now. I don't know what happened, but yeah, it's good. Thank you.
All right, then I won't remove you. I'm like, yeah. No, Kelly, thank you for being a member for 6 months. I really appreciate you. Okay, so I agree, Lame. The kids were exploited to spill dirt on Karen. I agree. They didn't, I've seen this video. I'm going to play the rest, obviously, but there wasn't anything groundbreaking that was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said that. So it was almost like the Commonwealth using them, like reaching, pretty much like just more reaching. And again, we have not seen everything that they have against Karen yet. So I don't want to get too like, oh, Commonwealth has nothing, they don't know what they're doing. Like, we still got time. There could be something that comes out that I'm like, holy shit, yeah, Karen, you did this, just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. I have a feeling the voicemails are going to be really bad, but even if they are really bad, that doesn't prove that she killed him.
Right. I mean, it could also go to the theory of like, he was going to confront Higgins and Karen maybe was like, no, please don't. And like, there might have been something between, like a fight between them about even confronting Brian about it, like.
Yeah.
And then he insisted on it and she's like, you're an asshole.
No, I could totally see that. And I know so I don't forget later, I know you mentioned about ring footage being deleted. The only ring footage I know about that was for sure deleted is, of course, the ones that the cops and stuff had control of, like the neighbors all conveniently weren't working, apparently. In the garage, that camera wasn't working. So I know that footage wasn't working, but I didn't know about Karen's. I hadn't heard that yet.
I think they were just accusing her of deleting it, but there hasn't been anything that's kind of come out like solid that she did or that she even had access to do that.
It
But
seems like she's the only one that didn't delete stuff in this case.
yeah, right.
Seriously. And I was thinking the text with Brian Higgins where he's like, hello, you know, a million marks. And he loves his question marks, by the way. And that's a weird way of learning. I think he deleted, like picked and choose what text he want on there because a lot of it didn't make sense, the order that it was in. So I really think he deleted a lot of text because he
I
had
do
full
too.
control about what he gave.
Right. And there were times where she just wasn't responding and you could tell that he was like, you know, question marks and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, like stop being so pushy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
They said that Lally asks if the phone was connected to the vehicle. He started asking stupid questions about the center console. The highlight was this. David Yannetti on cross-examination asked her one question. Did John or Karen ever raise a hand in anger towards each other? He said no. And then he said, quote, I'm sorry that you were made to come here today. And the prosecution immediately objected to that, but it was pretty powerful. A lot of people were like, wow. He said, I'm sorry that you were made to come here today. Now, the girl went next after that. She testified for longer. The usual nonsense about what's your favorite subject, how long you've been living with your grandparents. She said they met in 2020 for the first time. She definitely was a worse witness for Karen than the brother. She says that her relationship was with Karen Read was, quote, dependent on the day, and that she was closer with the brother than she was with her. She says that it was good at the beginning, but it was, quote unquote, toxicity towards the end. He says that she also refers to Karen as the defendant. She said that John will walk away from fights, but that Karen will, quote, follow him and keep yelling like normal people, like welcome to relationships, I guess. She says that Karen would defend the brother during arguments and not her. She said that she was closer with John and the brother was closer with Karen. It was weird. And that during the Aruba trip that they argued in front of her about the smooching with Marietta situation. And they says that, let's see, that he asked Karen to leave the house one night and Karen said no. And that John said the relationship will run its course and then locked himself in his room for 34 minutes and Karen didn't leave. So, you know, welcome to relationships. He says that Karen was wanted to know if she knew when Ring cameras were installed. And he said that John had access to it and offered the kids access to it and Karen access to it. And they all said no. So both kids testified that Karen does not have access to that Ring camera video. He says that Karen woke her up at 4:30 and told her to call Jen McCabe that morning. And that Jen McCabe had texted her in the past because she was her coach, that Karen was saying, and this is interesting. She said that Karen was saying, what could have happened? And maybe I did something. Maybe a snowplow hit him. Maybe I hit him. Did I hit him? We're going to get to that one second. Lally asks if the vehicle has a backup camera, like, duh. And she said the defendant, this is the kid says this, the defendant was a lot more like, just like, very like, she seemed like she was on meds and wasn't sitting still and almost shaky that morning, like somebody had just died or something. When Jen was talking, she said that Jen was calm and didn't get worked up and told her that John probably went to someone else's house. That's what she told this girl. She knew exactly where John was, dying on that lawn. And she told her that John probably was sleeping at someone else's house. This is at 5:30 in the morning when they went back there. That later on, when Karen came back, she was only at the house for a short period of time and went upstairs by herself. They frequently bring this up, and it's like, that's when she deleted the Ring camera footage. But both kids testified she didn't have access to that. She said that she gave the kid a hug and said, I feel like I'm living in a nightmare, and left. She said that Yannetti asked her if she said maybe I hit him, and she says she was interviewed on 2/22/22 and never mentioned maybe I hit him. So that she was interviewed at the DA's office and never mentioned anything about maybe I hit him. It was this is a new thing that she has recently added to this, and that she had quite a bit of contact with Jen McCabe in the last couple of weeks, and that never once did either of them raise a hand in anger, and that's that. So that.
So again, not really anything like groundbreaking that the kids testified to, besides backing up the same thing that other people have been saying, like Karen didn't have access to the ring footage, like she couldn't have deleted stuff.
Yeah, I don't think she deleted anything, honestly. Like I said, it's all the other people that have been deleting everything, which is so suspicious. They are not acting like innocent people, any of them.
Right. And like Jay said, putting the kids through all that for nothing.
Yeah. Do you know how old they are? Like, I don't know their ages, actually. I know they're younger, but I didn't know how old they were.
I think they're 16 and 13.
Oh, okay. I thought they were younger for some reason.
I think, well, when this happened, they obviously were, but
yeah.
I mean, everything good thing anyone says about her will be ignored, and any little bad thing will be brought up. Right. Just like the text messages, like, the Commonwealth were like, yes, this will make her look so bad. And, it doesn't make her look like a saint at all, or the best girlfriend. But again, I feel like the majority of what I seen from people was not a good look, but doesn't mean she killed him.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And it's so weird. Like, I'm looking at the courtroom right now, how John's brother is so close to Karen. He was watching those texts so intently. I'm just curious what's going on through his mind, because I know from what I heard, that they thought she was guilty before. So I'm just curious what they think now.
I know, I've been so torn. Like, even when his brother testified, like week 1, he said that they had a normal relationship. They bickered like any other couple, So it was almost like once he got up there on the stand, like, even though I was under the impression the family thought she was guilty, it seems like maybe they're just as torn and confused as we all are.
Yeah, they seem like they are. I mean, just watching the brother, he does seem like he is kind of questioning everything.
He definitely did not look happy during the text messages, but see, that's the thing, is like these text messages doesn't make her a murderer, but at the same sense, like, just being honest, if it led to a fight that broke out, that kind of still falls on Karen, but not in a way that like she should spend the rest of her life behind bars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that could have been the catalyst for sure for the fight. But then again, she is the fault indirectly, but she wasn't what caused his death, if that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's watch a little bit. Let's watch Yannetti today.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the evidence given to the court and jury in the case that we have the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow?
O'Keefe, correct?
And Mr. Yannetti, you'll be taking over?
I will, Your Honor.
Okay.
I really like Yannetti also. Jackson's awesome, but I do like Yannetti too.
Me too. I don't know. There's just something about his presence, like in the courtroom, like even in opening statements, I was like, oh, wow. Like, if I was a jury, I'd be like, can that guy come back up and talk more?
Right? Can you imagine them with Ben Chu and Camille here? Like, oh my God, all of them, that would be amazing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'd love to hear Ben Chu's like thoughts too on this case.
Yeah, because he does usually say about different cases. I want to look into that.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the evidence given to the court and jury in the case down here is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Proceed, Your Honor.
Yes.
Sir, you provided to investigators what you claim were the complete text exchanges between yourself and Karen Read and yourself and John O'Keefe, correct?
What I provided was the complete, I let them know that it was a complete exchange between myself and the defendant. And I said that I may have had other text strings at other times with Mr. O'Keefe.
I'm going to proceed to ask you a series of questions which call for a yes or no answer. Can we agree that you'll answer yes or no to those questions?
If I can answer yes or no to the best of my ability, I will.
All right.
He can't even answer yes or no to the question of, can you answer yes or no to these questions?
There was one one thing I saw that made me laugh so much. He's like, if I would have done it, I did it. Like when he was explaining about throwing away his charge, or just the way that he said it was like, if I would have, I would have. Like, I don't know. You'll have to hear it.
Yes.
I'm going to keep the question very simple, sir. Okay? You did not provide to investigators any other text messages between you and anyone else.
That's correct.
In September of 2022, you were served with a preservation order for your phone, were you not?
Yes.
After September of 2022, you never received anything in writing that canceled or lifted that preservation order, correct?
That's correct.
After September of 2022, you made the decision to dispose of your phone without consulting anybody about the decision to throw out your phone, correct?
Yes.
Before you threw the phone away, you did a factory reset of it, did you not?
No, I did not.
Well, you've previously testified that you testified in another proceeding on June 1st.
And isn't it interesting? He says, no, I did not, to resetting the phone. It's like, that phone's gone. Like it's long gone. We could never even probably prove if he did or not. So he might have said it previously or something along the lines. And really, it's just like one of those questions, like he could be lying and we would never know the truth because that phone is so long gone.
Exactly. He, like I said, we only had the little tiny bit that he showed the state or whoever he had to show, just the little screenshots, and that was like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious how much they really did talk, but I don't think it was really his communications with her that he was hiding. It was with everybody else.
Yeah. And the fact that, this is a trial for Officer John O'Keefe, and he had messages with John, and those are not able to be brought up, it seems.
Yeah, the judge is definitely trying to keep a lot of stuff away from the jurors.
Yeah, a lot of people are not happy with this judge.
I've seen her like huff and puff during it, and or like swinging her glasses, and it just seems like, I don't know, that it should be a different judge.
I agree.
Correct, of 2023?
Yes.
Prior to that June 1st testimony, you met with some people and gave a statement on May 5th of 2023, did you not?
I did meet with them. I don't know if that was the date.
Okay. It was prior to June, correct?
Yes.
All right. May 5th doesn't sound wildly inaccurate, does it?
No.
And when you met with those people on or about May 5th, we'll say, or whatever date it was prior to June 1st of 2023, you told them that you did a factory reset of your phone ending in 5421. Did you not?
I don't recall that. No, I don't recall making that statement.
You don't recall what you said about the factory reset?
Every single time one of these witnesses are asked like a really pressing, important question, and they answer with, I do not recall, like I just feel like they're hiding the truth.
I love when they like prove them out on their lies through their previous testimony too. Like, let me refresh your memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You stated on this. Yeah. I feel like with every single witness, if somebody could go back and just edit like every single question that they answered, I don't recall, it would be really interesting to see like what questions each of them were saying I don't recall to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of them said they didn't actually prep with their lawyer or talk to their husband or their wife or their parent about the testimony. I know even little car crash cases, people will discuss it. The lawyer will prep them and tell them what questions are going to be asked. You're going to talk to your family about it. And how Colin was like, yeah, I didn't talk to my family. And Jen's like, yeah, I didn't talk to my husband. They obviously talked about it.
Right. Absolutely. And some people were asking today, how many of you guys think that Lally from the Commonwealth and Higgins spoke over the weekend?
Oh, for sure. I definitely do. He wanted to prepare him as much as possible for it. I guarantee that he would, don't you think?
I could see it happening. They're desperate.
During that interview, we'll call it, in May of 2023, correct?
That's correct.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
In another phone. That might have. I don't recall making.
Accurate, does it?
No.
It sucks that we don't have any video of them like being questioned.
I know.
That would be interesting to see how they reacted when it just happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like police interview.
Yeah.
Served with a preservation order for your phone, were you not?
Yes.
After September of 2022, you never received anything in writing that canceled or lifted that preservation order, correct?
That's correct.
After September of 2022, you made the decision to dispose of your phone without consulting anybody about the decision to throw out your phone, correct?
Yes.
Before you threw the phone away, you did a factory reset of it, did you not?
Sorry.
No, I did not.
Well,
by the way, I love when the sirens go off. I just think that's great. It's maybe a foreshadowing of hopefully what will happen.
I know. I wonder if any of them, they're like, oh, they're coming for me.
Right.
Directing your attention to the first highlighted line there, sir.
Why don't you give him a second?
If you read that silently to yourself and look up at me when you're done.
I'm surprised they didn't give him a flashlight too.
Right. Somebody commented about how he moves his entire head as he reads.
He is looking very intently. I don't know if you saw in one of the testimony with Matt McCabe, he's like, oh gosh, when he's looking at the text. And I don't think it was supposed to be in the microphone, but it was funny.
Oh, I missed that.
I'll have to send it to you with the timestamp.
If I may approach.
Yes.
Having read that document, sir, does that refresh your memory about telling those people in May of 2023 that you did do a factory reset of your phone?
That's not accurate. I did not tell them that. And I also didn't tell them that I saved texts with my father.
All right. So your testimony is that they got it wrong, correct?
My testimony is I didn't make those statements.
Your testimony is that they got it wrong, yes or no?
Objection.
Sustained.
Well, in any case, you took the SIM card out of your phone, correct?
No, what I testified to was that it's.
Did you take the SIM card out of your phone, yes or no?
I don't know.
Did you
They cannot
testify
answer straight
that that's
questions
what
like any
you
of them,
do when you get rid of
or
phones?
straight answers.
And it's ridiculous because on Friday, he told Jackson yes. Like he testified, like, yeah, he did take the SIM card out. Like, how else would we all know that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I mentioned it. I really do think that they somehow have obtained video of him doing that with a SIM card just because they're so confident about the way they said it.
Mm-hmm. And it was on a military base, so there's got to be cameras.
Sure.
Yeah, I think
What I
so.
said was that might have been the extent of it. If I
We literally played earlier in my live stream his comments about the SIM card. So it's just very interesting how he's trying to backtrack.
was to have done that,
And you either cut up the SIM card or ripped it up, correct?
I believe what I testified to was
I'm not
I would have
asking you what you testified to. I'm asking you today, did you either cut up the SIM card or rip it up?
cut it up or broke it.
And you will agree with me that cutting up or breaking the SIM card destroys the SIM card, does it not?
The card itself, yes.
That would have been the purpose in terms of cutting it up or ripping it up, to destroy it, correct?
Well, so nobody else could use the phone.
Well, that was my next question. But
In another phone.
But the purpose of cutting up or ripping up or the SIM card is to destroy the SIM card, is it not?
Yes.
And you wanted to make sure that somebody couldn't put that SIM card in their phone and potentially access your data, correct?
No, that wouldn't be the reason why.
Okay. Well, we already talked about the fact that you testified under oath on June 1st of 2023, correct?
Yes.
And you were under oath when you were testifying on June 1st of 2023, correct?
Yes.
You swore to tell the truth.
Yes.
You raised your right hand.
That's correct.
And June of 2023, June 1st of 2023 was about a year ago, correct?
Yes.
It was about a year closer to your throwing your phone away, correct?
Yes.
And in that testimony that you gave in June 1st of 2023, did you say the following, quote, I made sure that somebody couldn't put it in their phone?
Yes, I did say that.
In fact, by either cutting up or ripping up your SIM card, you also knew that that SIM card couldn't be put back in your phone either, correct?
Yeah, I believe that would be correct.
And you'll agree with me that you took that destroyed SIM card and put it in a trash bag, did you not?
I believe it went in a trash bag, yes.
Well, you used the passive voice. It went in a trash bag. Did it fly out of your hand unexpectedly into a trash bag, sir?
No, sir. It would have been disposed of with the phone.
No, I understand. But are you reluctant to say that you put it in a trash bag, sir?
Objection.
Can you answer that? Are you reluctant to say that?
No, Your Honor, I put it in a trash bag. Or with my
And then
trash.
you
Said
also
that
took
very.
your phone
I'm surprised he
now
admitted that.
without the SIM card, and you
Right. He keeps trying to beat around it, but just like we're looking at it as like, dude, just answer the question. Like the jury has got to be feeling the same way, you know?
I'm sure.
put that in the trash bag too, did you not?
Yes, sir.
Then you drove to a military base and you threw both the destroyed SIM card and the phone into a dumpster, did you not?
Well, I was cutting through the base, and I believe how I testified
Did you drive
was
to a military base?
Just cutting through a military base. 'Cause a lot of people do that, you know, veterans, like people who have access to bases. Like I hear about people cutting through all the time. Being sarcastic, but
I know that. I think hopefully people in chat all know that too.
it's just like this is another example, you know, cutting through the base, butt dials. They're just these are the reasons why, if I was on the jury, you know, and I'm looking at Karen Read, I'm like, man, like this, if she did it herself, why is all this other stuff happening?
Exactly. That's why I was saying like it could have been an accident, but there's just so much other stuff to make me think that it was not Karen at all.
And it's interesting too, because they have like duty-free like shops and stuff like that people who have access to military bases like can go on and buy stuff. And he doesn't even say like, oh, I was checking out the shop or the store, whatever it's called, on base. Instead, he's like, I was cutting through. It just is like, it just sounds too unbelievable.
Well, it also sounds like Matt McCabe's, where he was just conveniently driving by the Albert's house. Remember when he was like keeping tabs and saying what was going on? He's like, oh, I was in the neighborhood. But luckily the jury went out to the house, so they saw that it's like not just on the way, that you kind of have to go out of the way to get to the house.
Is he the one that found the taillights? Or is that another person who just randomly like, oh, I just happened to be going through?
I think Matt is, but chat will have to say if it wasn't. But I think he's one of the people that did.
And like Tony said, why are they going through so much work if she did it? Right. I mean, it's one thing to throw your phone out. It's another thing to cut through a military base, put it in a bag, and you know what I mean?
That's like 10 times even more than NK did, right?
Right. I know. And honestly, this just makes NK destroying her SIM card like kind of reiterates our suspicions with her too.
I agree.
Base, sir.
I was cutting through a base, yes.
Did you drive to it?
Yes, sir.
And then you put both the destroyed SIM card and the phone itself, which were in a trash bag, into a dumpster on that military base, did you not?
I believe that's what I did, yes.
And as you were driving away, you knew that that destroyed SIM card and the phone would be gone forever, correct?
Yes, I threw it away.
And before you drove away, you did not transfer anything from your old phone to the new phone, correct?
That's correct.
You lost all of your photos on that phone, did you not?
Whatever photos I had on there, I did, yes.
You lost all your videos on that phone, did you not?
To the extent if I had any.
You lost all of your other text messages besides the ones that you had with Karen Read and John O'Keefe, correct?
That's correct.
And you knew that you did have text messages on that old phone with Kevin Albert.
He's a friend, most likely.
You also had text messages on your phone with Nicole Albert.
Most likely, yes.
And you had text messages on your phone with Brian Albert.
Yes.
It was important to you that no one see those text exchanges that you had with those three members of the Albert family.
Objection.
I'll let him have it.
No, sir, that's not true.
You took no steps to preserve those text messages, did you?
That's correct.
You did not ask your friend Matt Kelch, the agent, to help you extract those text messages, did you?
That's correct.
And when you went to that machine, you did not extract them yourself, did you?
He walked me through it. I did do the extraction.
You did not extract the 3 strands of text messages with Nicole Albert, Kevin Albert, and Brian Albert to preserve from that machine, did you not?
No, I did not extract those.
So the only place you knew they existed was on your old phone, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
The same phone that you put into a dumpster on a military base with a SIM card removed from the phone and destroyed, correct?
Well, I did throw the SIM card and the phone on the military base.
Right, and the SIM card was destroyed. You've already testified to that.
I said to the extent of if I did that, I would have done that.
And
that was
we're
the part I
talking
was
about
telling you.
The actual.
Yeah.
If I did that, I would have done that.
Sketchy.
Phone that would have had your text messages, again, with Brian, Nicole, and Kevin Albert, correct?
Yes, because the motion was denied.
Well, you've already testified, sir, earlier that you never received anything in writing that either canceled or lifted the initial preservation order, correct?
That is correct.
You knew when you were throwing that phone and the destroyed SIM card in the dumpster that from that day forward, no one would ever be able to access the content of what you and Brian Albert had discussed by text messages on your old phone, correct?
Anybody.
I have nothing further.
Mr. Lally?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I don't really want to hear Lally. I kind of want to just hear.
I haven't been listening to Lally much either. I just, especially today, because I didn't get to watch it. I was working so much. I just listened to the defense.
Yeah, and plus, like I titled this, cross-examination. So let's just keep it. I think there might be more. I think that girl who works for the defense, I think her last name is Little. I think she comes up, but hang on.
Oh, yeah, she does.
Specifically preserved and given to the troopers or
Sir, you testified that a prime motivator of you to get rid of your phone was a July 22nd call from a target of an investigation that you were working on?
I never said it was a prime motivator.
Was it a prime motivator?
No, what I testified to was the phone number was what I was concerned about primarily.
Right.
Didn't have anything to do with the phone.
Okay. You did not change your phone number on July 22nd, correct?
July of 2022? Is that what you mean?
The date that you received a call, supposedly, from a target of an investigation you were working on was July 22nd of which year?
So I believe it was July 25th of 2022. I was so concerned that I reported it to my supervisor.
Right, but you did not change your phone number after that for quite a while, correct?
I believe it was September.
Okay. So for those months, you kept the same phone number and kept the same phone, correct?
I did.
And September happened to be the month that you received the preservation order from this court, correct?
September 22, yes.
Right. Now, with regard to the text exchanges that you had with Karen Read, you testified that you were embarrassed about them?
I wasn't proud of them.
I think your word was embarrassed, correct?
I can agree to that. That's fair.
Well, you already testified to that, right?
I believe that
About
might have
5
been
minutes ago?
might have been a word I used, yes.
And you also explained that you would keep things like that to yourself, correct?
That could be something, yes.
However, you would also agree with me that while they were going on, you told your boss about that text exchange, correct?
Well, I told her about the kiss.
Do you deny telling your boss about the texting that you were doing with Karen Read?
I don't know if I specifically recall that, no.
But you don't deny it, sir, correct?
It's possible that I told her about that. I'm not going to deny it.
All right. And in any case, those text exchanges were preserved. You preserved those before disposing of your phone, correct?
Correct.
And with regard to the other text exchanges that you did not preserve with the Alberts, including Brian Albert, are you familiar with the term consciousness of guilt, Mr. Higgins?
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection sustained.
I may have a moment.
Yes.
Just one more thing. With regard to the date that you changed phone numbers on your phone, you would agree with me that was September 29th of 2022?
When I actually changed the phone number?
That's what I just asked.
Yeah, yes, I also got a new phone. Yes.
Okay. September 29th of 2022, you changed your phone number and got a new phone. And then September 30th, the next day, you were served with the preservation order, correct?
I got the preservation order on the 30th. That's correct.
He was definitely tipped off.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yep. I think so too. Absolutely. Looks like I think that was the end of it. They ended it there with the preservation letter. So he got that on the 30th, got rid of the phone on the 29th. So who tipped him off though? But I mean, think about it. He's ATF federal agent. I mean, he has access to these type of things probably, you know?
Yeah. Do we know what his relationship with with Proctor or no? We haven't heard that yet.
Chat might have to help out with that one. Not sure, but I could definitely see Proctor from everything else we've heard about him, you know, because his whole investigation was Karen.
Yeah.
So to keep his narrative right and to keep his narrative, you know, only Karen, would he reach out to the ATF agent and say, hey, just so you know, blah, blah, blah? I could see it.
Yeah, or doing like a private interview, which seems like they've been doing with with other people, like at their houses and stuff.
Yep, off record. Like Jay said,
Yeah.
he was already, and he meaning Higgins, was already suspected of using federal databases for his own use. Yeah. Hello, Brooks. We only
Hi,
had
Brooks.
word for when he destroyed it, right? So we got to assume he destroyed it after the order. That is my guess. Unless they have video of him like on the 29th. But either way, you're right. I mean, he is saying he got rid of it on the 29th. Conveniently, he gets served the order on the 30th. Is he lying about the date that he got rid of it just so that it doesn't fall after the court order, you know? Or was he tipped off?
Either way, it doesn't look good, I don't think.
Right. Well, I don't know. I don't know if Higgins is going to go back up or if that's all they got for him for the rest of the trial, or maybe he'll be kind of left on standby in case they got to call him back up. I feel like he might be done. But I don't know. Do you think that he had any involvement with the murder? Like, as far as like, it's very hard to say, I guess, because him throwing it out there that he's seen on camera moving vehicles at the sheriff's office or whatever, like, doesn't look good in my eyes. But I just don't know if, yeah, I just
And
don't.
there's the jealousy thing with Karen also.
Right. Yeah. So much doubt, but it's still, I'm kind of like, I'm not at the point where I'm like, yes, he did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, not at all. I still am. I'm hoping that I don't know if we're ever going to get an answer to what exactly happened in that house. Or I'm thinking in that house. Other people could think otherwise, but that's what I'm thinking. Like, we're never going to know exactly what happened.
I feel the same way. Like, I feel like we're going to go through more weeks of this trial and we're going to hear so many other testimonies. And I think we're still going to wonder, like, where the truth lies, because I think it lies somewhere in between. Well, not even in between the Commonwealth's theory, because I just don't think that Karen did this purposely, like, at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they upped the charges. I don't think it would be so publicized if it was just them trying to do manslaughter.
I know. I think they went the wrong route with charging her, like overcharging her.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate you coming up. If I do another Karen Read trial, I'd love to have, or I'm probably going to.
Yeah. Thank you for having me up. I've been awake since like 4 a.m. So I'm sorry if I'm tired. I'm trying to drink coffee and wake up. But yeah, I've been awake for like 14 hours.
Oh my gosh, no. Just go to bed after this.
I'm going to. But
All
thank
right.
you so much for having me up. I love talking to you about different cases. And Jay, Tony, Linda, everyone in chat. I know Roxanne was here. Christina, I think it was you that got me my membership. Thank you so much. So, Amber, I'll talk to you later. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me up.
Anytime. We'll talk soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I know that by the time I go live, a lot of you guys have kind of watched this stuff or you've listened to other live streams. So those ones that stick through like my whole stream with me, I really appreciate it. And we'll definitely have to have Valerie up again so that we can talk more on this case. And I appreciate everyone who sent super chats and donated to the memberships and everyone who just hit the like button. Thank you guys so much. Tomorrow night, I want to do a live on Sebastian Rogers. I want to break down the new interview on the interview room with the linguistics expert that was on there. So I kind of want to re-listen to that with you guys if you want to join me. We haven't done a Sebastian Rogers live stream in a while. I might squeeze in a Watts live stream this week as well because Karen Read trial is done for the week and we won't hear anything new until next week for that. So we'll probably do Sebastian Rogers and Watts this week. So hope you guys come back and join me for those. And we'll talk very soon. And again, thank you to all my moderators. And like I said, hit that like button. And thank you everyone who stuck around. And I know some people fell off because they had to go to bed. So I totally understand. I know I go late. So I just really appreciate you guys so much. And we'll talk very soon, tomorrow night, actually. So I'll see you guys all then. Bye-bye.